So today we're going to be dealing with the rudiments of starting a business. How do we start a business? What are the necessary requirements? What are the things that we really need to do to get our business off the ground and to get it successful? So some people will say that, I have an idea. I've had this idea for a long, long time. And, you know, they were wondering, um, this idea, if I bring it to everybody else, it will be successful. But there's something, the very first thing to do is we have to test the idea. When we're starting a business, we have to test that idea and make sure that that idea indeed is a good idea. Whether it's a product, whether it's a service, it's certainly going to involve consumers. And because it's going to involve consumers, before we jump into investing heavily into that idea, we have to do some groundwork research. It is crucial that we do this because more than 60% of businesses that start in the first year are estimated to go bankrupt or out of business in their very first or second year. So definitely that means that some groundwork was not done. So what do we need to do before we venture on the idea of a business? So you've thought long and hard about this. You have this God-given idea and you're thinking, it is my time to do this. The very first thing to do will be to conduct a market research for your startup business idea. This cannot be overemphasized. I am speaking today by the grace of God from a practical point of view of having to run businesses and having to go through all of these steps and really see what works and what does not work. Now, you would need a strategy for conducting your market research. It's very, very important. You might be asking yourself, why do I need a market research? I have my money, I have the idea, I have the product, I have the service, I have found a location. Boom, why don't I just go ahead? It doesn't work like that. Is it worth your time to conduct a research? It's actually more important than you think because it can reduce your business risks while giving you the opportunity to identify your potential customers, their habits, the consumer trends, and needs. It's also having, to have this will help you to figure out the type of business that meets your customers' wants. Sometimes you might have a product, and by the time you conduct a market research, you are now in a place where you can say, well, you know what? Because of the result that I got, I may tweak my product in this manner to meet the needs of my potential customers. And also, a market research will help to determine the best way for you to market your product or your service. Your consumers will tell you what's the best way, and you would learn from them. And you would also get feedback on your business idea. So that way, even from the jump, from the start, by involving yourself in a market research, you collect data that would help you understand your industry. You'll likely collect two types of data while you go through. There'll be primary data, there'll be secondary data. Your primary data comes from places like direct sources, like from a person or from a company that's in the same industry that you want to get into. And your secondary data will be from existing resource, like published studies that has already been made that you can go back to the library and read and find out some answers to your questions. Also, your quantitative data that would use math and data analysis, to inform you on the important statistics about the business and the market. And you also have qualitative data that consists of more people-focused information, such as their needs, their opinions on your products and the services. Remember, we are not reinventing the wheel. Most of the products and services that are offered in the marketplace, there are always ones in existence already. So what will be our job will be, as a business startup, you are trying to solve a problem. You are plugging in yourself. You have identified a problem. You have identified a niche in the marketplace for yourself, and you are looking to solve that problem. You are looking to be a solution provider for that problem. And when we do that, then once you gather your results and every indicator, you look at every indicator and you see that, okay, everything you've crossed your T's and dotted your I's, then at that point, you can move on to the next level. It's really important that researches are done. People are always thinking, that's not important. It's very, very important. Now, while you're doing your research, there is something that is important as a business startup. You must identify your target customers. So you can do this by looking at who will benefit from this product or service. You also want to look at factors like the age demography in that area, the household income in that area, the location, is it a mixed use location, residential and commercial, the place where you're thinking of setting up your business. That is very important when you're thinking of that. Also, you have to think in your market research of engaging your audience. You want them to be your sounding board. You want to be sure that you engage your target customers as you conduct surveys. I remember a few years ago, I was going on a different enterprise totally because I'm in the service business. And this time, this business is a product business. I had to engage different tactics to gather the information. I had to conduct surveys, over 250 people involved. Some were done via email, some were done by talking to the people, some were done by sending them letters in the mail and gathering information. Don't overlook the social media as well. That can be a perfect place to test out the waters, to see how well your product or service will be received. While we are conducting this business research, it is important to look at your competitors in the industry, people who are already there. Analyze your competing products and services. What is the price range? What are they offering? How can you improve on the idea that they have at the moment? Target what are the weaknesses in the products or the services that they offer right now in the market? How can my product as a new startup improve upon what is already in the market? You do not want to replicate what is already there. You want to improve upon the product or the service that is there. You want to find out your competitors' prices and also see, how you can fit into that range, without breaking the quality or reducing the quality of your product. It's very important. I have stayed on this particular first step because this is the foundation on which everything else will be built. Then it's important that after conducting the research, you have a good idea first. You have now conducted your market research about your business idea. What's the next step? The next step is writing a business plan. Most people think that they don't, they get intimidated when it comes to writing a business plan. They're like, well, I'm not an accountant. I really don't want to get into all of this. All I'm interested in is selling my wares. Your business plan is like a compass. It outlines your current and your future goals regarding this startup business. Successful businesses use this as a resource to organize the direction of the company. While you are not going to achieve all of it in one day, but it's like a roadmap to what you want to accomplish. You would have short-term goals for your startup business, and you would also have long-term goals. So most people often ask me, what should be included in my business plan? I mean, if you like to take notes, it will be a good time to do so. Title, page, and contents, very important. Investors use that part of the business plan to get a feel for your company. It's keeping it organized and easy to navigate is very helpful. We have to know that you have to have a statement of purpose. What are you all about? This summarizes your products, your services, the market and business operation. It also states in there if somewhere down the line you will be needing funding or you'll be needing investors. It's really important. Why are you having this business? What are you trying to achieve? What are your objectives in having this startup business? And then, of course, another part of your business plan is something very critical. You must be able to clearly describe your product or service that you're offering. There cannot be any ambiguity. I mean, it has to be simple. It has to be clear. We have to know in detail exactly how is this product or service, how will it benefit the consumers? How will it benefit the people that you are targeting? This is how it's more like I'm trying to win you over and I'm trying to tell you, you need this product in your life. You need this service. These are very critical that it is found in your business plan as you are going to engage the audience, your targeted audience. Also, you must have market analysis. This is an outline of your target demographic, the selling trends, and customer expectations. Let me go a little bit deeper into that. Your target demographic. Who have you made this product or service for? What age range? What gender? What specific gender? Is this a product that is specifically made for male or female, or everyone can use it regardless of gender or age? That's one question. Another question will be, what are the selling trends? The products that are similar to yours, how are they doing in the market? What time of the year or quarter of the year do they sell the best? Let me give a practical example of what I'm talking about. One of my products is a nail and cuticle replenishing oil. Now, this particular product, I did my research. I found out about the ones that are in existence, and I realized that some of them have some scents and some there are none that don't have any scent. I decided to go in with ones that don't have any scent. First of all, so that people who have allergies and people who have sensitive skin can use it. Now, who are my target audience for that product? Targeted audience are women. That particular product is to target women and all across from age 18 to 100. Now, what does it do? There are a lot of women that have chipped nails and chipped, the nails are not growing well, the follicles are, destroyed and things of that nature. Now, most people do not realize that the state of our nails has a lot to do with the state of our hearts. Just like our gums also affect our hearts. So I decided to have that product and tailored it to ensuring that it takes care of any bacterial or viral issues going on with the nail, so that the nail bed can be healthy while it strengthens and it grows the nail in such a beautiful way. Now, that is one way. Then the last thing is customer expectations. What am I telling my customers about this product? Another thing that is really, really important to have in a business plan is competitor analysis. This should highlight the strengths and weaknesses of companies that have similar products like yours. So I was able to show to my audience that some of these other companies, they were not able to take care of some of these problems, that they were just using it to mask the problem. And I applied different essential oils. I did a 3-year research, did a market research, did a lab research, went into all details to get that product out. Now, having said that, that would give trust. That will make your customers trust you. Writing a business plan is important because it makes you more efficient and more strategic in your decision making. It helps you focus on your goals and your strategies. Most people think that, well, this is too much of a bother. It is not too much of a bother. It is really important that this is done. If this is not done, there might be some other problems later on. Now, your plan doesn't have to be elaborate. While I have mentioned those things, it has to be a readable plan. So you have it in an executive summary, you have your business description and structure, you have the market research and strategies, you have the management and personnel, and of course, you have your financial documents, which will show how the startup is going to be funded. Now, another very important key thing to know about starting a startup business is finance. But we will get to that in a little bit. We will get to that in a little bit. Now we have gone through these three. The next step will be making your business official. Making your business official. Now you have a plan. So the next thing is you have to start thinking, okay, what name will I have for this business? How do I brand this business? To make your business official, after you've done your research and you've seen that this is a viable startup to pursue, and you see that the marketplace is ready for what you're bringing to them, you have to choose a business structure. You have to choose a business name. Now, choosing a business structure, I won't go into that today. That will be for our next one. There are so many types. You can have the sole proprietorship where you own it in your name. You can go further to have where it's an illegal entity on its own, where you have an LLC, or you can have a S corporation, you can have a C corporation, and on and on and on. However, you would have to. Most people often are advised start as a sole proprietor. And within a couple of years, you can go into LLC once you see that it's viable, although because you don't want to just spend money and not have any return on your investment. Or if you are really sure that this is something that would work, then go ahead with the LLC. Now, you have to choose your business name. When you're starting a new business, your business name has to have a correlation with what you're offering. I'm going to repeat that. There has to be a correlation between your business name and what product or service you're offering. If you're offering, let's assume you're offering an eatery and you say Forks and Knives Limit LLC or Hungry Plates LLC, at least you can see there's a correlation between the food that you're offering and the name. It is very, very important that your business name reflects the nature of your business because that is part of what will become your branding later. You have to choose a business name that reflects your brand and not used by anyone else. It is really important to mention that you have to do some research. In your state where you live, you have to, do research online, find out, go and find out that this name that you have chosen has not been taken up by anybody else before you take upon that name. And then that leads us to the next item, registering your business with your state. Registering your business with your state will give you a legal ground to move forward using your brand name, which means once you have the name and you have made the research, nobody else has it. You have a logo that you have worked out for yourself, then you register that. Now you have secured a space for yourself for the product or the service that you are offering. Now, once we've done that, the next step will be to pick up the right licenses or permits. Depending on your business, a permit may be needed, it may not be needed. The states that you're in, it varies from state to state. Whether it's a food business, whether it's health business, whether it's an accounting and business, whatever business that may be, whether it's beauty, skincare, you would have to find out in your own state what is needed. Now, so you register your business, you already have that done with your state. You find out what permits and business licenses you need to apply for. Some licenses from some states, they don't cost anything. All you have to do is apply for. If you apply online, for instance, in North Carolina, if you apply online for sales, for some licensing or sales tax permit online, in within the next 10 minutes, you'll get it. And or if you apply by mail, then maybe in the next 10 days or so, you'll get it. Now, it varies from state to state. So you have to find out from your own state what is operating there. Then you get a tax ID number. To open, now, what's the importance of this? This allows the IRS to track your business, to track and see, what you're doing, what funds are coming in, if you're paying your taxes quarterly or, however way that is set up. Now, it is important if you're deciding on having an LLC, you're going to have what is called an employer identification number. It's called EIN. On the federal level, that's what you need. Then on the state level, you'll have a sales tax permit number that will be given to you. This is how the IRS will identify your business and ensure that you are in compliance with all tax regulations. This is very important, very, very crucial. Now, also, one of the very next steps will be for you now. Now you've done this, you have made your business official. The next step will be for you to open a business bank account. There is something very important. When you're running a business, you have to run it like a real business. You cannot afford to commingle your personal funds with the business fund. So you need to have a business bank account to stay legally compliant as a legal independent entity that your business is. So I have a business. I have several of my businesses. They are separate. Most of them, they are separate and they stand alone from me. Very, very important that you do that. Now, when you go to the bank, they're going to ask for, they could ask for the EIN number. Now, if you decide to be a sole proprietor and not go the LLC route yet, then instead of an employer identifying number, you are going to be using your own social security number. The EIN serves as a social security for business. So if you decide you are not going the LLC route, you are going to use your own social security number because remember, your taxes still have to be paid and they have to be attached to whether a legal entity or a person that will be paying those taxes. Very, very important that we not overlook this. Because at the end of the day, you want to be sure that everything you're doing is following the books as much as you possibly can. Following these steps will make your life a whole lot easier as you grow in the business because you have done the things that you should do, and going forward, that should not be a problem. Now that you have made your business official, then you're looking for a physical location for your business. Most people will be like, well, these days, it doesn't have to be, it could be a hybrid. It could be, depending on the kind of business you have, it could be a physical location, yes, that is a brick and mortar. There are also other several options where social media becomes very, very important, such as you must have a website to further authenticate your business. People will ask you, there are some things you must have, like having a business card, having a website where people can go to and find out more information about your product or the services that you offer. It's very important that you do this because if we do not do that, then your authenticity might be in question. Now, these days, with the advent of social media, we have all these resources at our fingertips. We have TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all of this that you can use to put yourself out there to create, your brand and to engage with the audience. Let them know what you are about, what led to you doing this business, and how does it benefit them. At the end of the day, do not forget, you're selling an idea, you're selling a product, you're selling a service, but you want people to know that, wow, they need this product, this service in their lives, and this is why. Now, your ability to show them that, you have to be transparent. You have to be able to share with them on a either week to week basis or however way, you may decide to engage a social media content manager. You may decide to do it yourself. That's all up to you. But these are things that need to be done. Very, very important that we get those done, because that is how, by word of mouth, people will begin to see, oh wow, guess what, this is what I really need. This and I need this service is something I need, or this product is something that I need. It's very important that we are able to do that. And also, it's important to now start thinking, so now I have made my business legal. From this has grown from a little idea, it has grown into something big. I have made it legal. I have gone ahead to make it official. It has a name, it has a brand. I've put myself out there. People know what I am about. How do I finance my business? No one can start a business without money. So there is either you're going to finance it yourself individually in the very beginning of the business. And as it grows, then later on, you're going to need investors to help with the growth. But before you start business funding, it's important to have the right foundation. Like I said, you cannot talk about funding without having a business bank account. It is important that you separate your personal from your company assets. You also need to buy, like record keeping software, accounting software. You have to invest in those kind of things. Whether you're going to go into it or zero, or there are so many. I'm not recommending any, I'm just mentioning there are so many out there. And you're also going to, if you are someone who likes to be hands-on and you can do all the, besides doing the administrative duties and producing the products and the service, you also like to do the math. Wonderful. If you are not, you are going to need to have a bookkeeper, somebody who will be keeping the records for you. And if you are someone who is hands-on, you are going to need to have a record keeping and accounting software to help you to do that. Now, most people often say, well, this is how I got stuck. I was doing well and I got to second year of my business and I needed investors and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to turn. Now, when you're ready, there are different avenues. You can apply to local angel investors. You can request for a small business loan or grant. Every state has what we call a small business administration, SBA, where you can, they're local. You can find them online. You can Google them. You can attend your local chapter. They are always more than happy to grant grants to small startups. Grants that you do not have to return. These are not loans. Based on your specific niche and need, they will grant you that. Also, you can use a micro lending program and, of course, ask friends and family for a startup loan. You can borrow from your 401k. And these are so many other things that we will talk about in the part two series now. So for funding, never let that be a problem when you get to that stage. Always have the plan, reach out. A closed mouth never gets fed. When you get to that point, make yourself visible, engage in your town's chamber of commerce. Make sure you engage with their services. Make yourself visible. Go there, attend the meetings, become a member, ask questions, and resources that you need. You'll be surprised. They are all around you. But if you do not ask the right questions, you will not get the answers. Now, I'm going to piggyback a little bit on how you determine your business structure, because this is really important. Whether you choose to be a sole proprietor or you choose to go LLC, this impacts so very many things. So it has to be well thought of. You need to speak to a business, either a business lawyer or a financial consultant, an accountant, somebody who can guide you based on the goals and the aspirations that you have for your startup. Because your business structure is going to impact matters such as how you pay taxes, when you pay taxes. It's going to impact the kind of finances that you would have access to in the future. It is also going to impact the nature of compensation that you are going to have for yourself or for employees later in your company as it gets larger. And it's also going to impact the nature of insurance that you are going to have for your company. So the kind of structure you have will determine the taxes, the financing, the compensation, and of course the insurance. So in the part two series, we will talk more about some of the common business structures like the sole proprietorship, whether it's going to be a general partnership, a limited partnership, whether you're going to have a C corporation or an S corporation. That is very, very important. Now we have done all of this. What's the next thing that we need to do that is critical in us starting a business from ground up? That is finding a business location. I know I talked about the social media part earlier. Now, if you also want to have to be visible in your town and visible in your community, and you want to have a brick and mortar, now that is also one way to go. But finding the right business location before you can start setting up your office, you need to determine what makes the most sense for your business. Are you going to go the way of, having a workplace solution where you partner with somebody else? Are you going to work from home? Are you going to lease a place or are you going to buy an office? Are you going to create a virtual office? If you have an online business where it's a service business where products are not involved, or if all products may be involved, are you going to have that by itself? Now, don't forget that with the office, there are going to be a lot of administrative expenses and overhead, utilities, so very many things that will come through that will be part of your expenses. Now, you have to think about the location. Does it get enough traffic? Is this a mixed use location? I mentioned that earlier. What does that mean? There are some locations where you would see some residential areas and they're about 5, 10 minutes away from the commercial area. Now, that ensures that there will be traffic. There's that residential area will be feeding into the commercial place. So that means you are not going to lack people coming in needing services because you have this place where it's not too far away from where you're located. Now, or are you going to go a home-based business? Is that what you're going to do? Which, if that's the case, you can claim a home office space as a deduction. We'll talk about that in part two. So it's very important that we know most of these things, really important. And then also developing the brand and marketing your startup. Once you have the brand, you have your logo, you already have that. You have to work on developing it. It's important for your business's success. So small businesses have to be engaged in advertising heavily, aggressive business marketing. Very, very important. Using social media, branding your business, making sure you're out there. Very, very important that you do that. So it's not just enough to know how to finance your business, but you must also know how to make sure that you are in the forefront of your targeted audience and you are not forgotten, you are visible all the time. Then, one of the other important steps in starting a small business is protecting your business. Protecting a small business takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of money, resources. You want to protect it by having the right insurance. You need to have the right insurance. It's very important. Why most people will say, well, I haven't even made any money. Well, you don't necessarily have to make money yet, but once the business is out there and you're already offering a product or offering a service and you are going to be in contact with people, definitely the money will come. So, what kind of coverages can you look at? You can look at general liability insurance to help protect your company from liability claims. That means while you're offering especially whether it's a product or a service, somebody might say, oh, this happened and that happened, and oh, you're getting sued, God forbid. There could be, claims of bodily injury or property damage or some libel or something, which nobody hopes for, but it is something that you have to have in your business. Also, you need to have a business income insurance, just in case if you have lost income. Maybe you're running a business and for some time, temporarily, you had to close down due to whatever reasons. For whatever reasons, you must have an insurance covering you at that point in time. Now, there are some businesses, a lot of businesses these days need data. Everyone, whether it's product, whether you're offering a product or you're offering a service, you keep data. You keep information about your clients, about your products, you have inventory, you have a whole host, a whole plethora of information. Now, you need to have data breach coverage. What happens when this information goes out there, gets leaked? Who's going to help pay for that? For instance, if you're in the health industry, you're in the, in the medical field where you have clients and there's a data breach and your information of your clients get into the wrong hands or things of that nature, or your employees' private data is lost or stolen, you need to have those kind of coverages. And also you need to have professional liability coverage. Now, this is protection for people who may be sued for negligence or errors in the services they provide. A case in point will be like an accountant. There might be, they have, what's called an EO insurance, errors and omission insurance. Just there may be a situation where a honest thing, there was an oversight, overlook. Now, if and the manner of negligence and how whether it's material or immaterial will now depend on that would have to be found out. But if it is found out it is immaterial, then that there'll be then you could be like, okay, well, this is just a human error once in a while that could happen, the 0.0001%. But if it was found that it was willful neglect and negligence, then that accountant may even have other bigger problems to face in court and all of that. Then if you're having a commercial property that you either you bought it or you're leasing it, for a number of years, you need to have commercial property insurance, which helps to pay for damages to your building, equipment, or your inventory, or whatever that may be. It's very important. And lastly, I'm not sure if my time is up, sir. Do I still have a little bit of time? How much more time do I have, sir? You're muted.
5 to 10 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Right. And lastly, after you have done all of that, you now start working on what you know how to do best, building on these foundations, building your startup business, which is going to involve your time. It's like having a newborn baby that needs care constantly round the clock. People take shifts, whether husbands and wives or mother-in-laws and everybody, to take care of this baby. The very same thing will happen with your new startup business. You have to be ready to give it your all. Now, a startup business will take more out of you than your 9 to 5. If you are not a natural born go-getter or somebody who does not need much encouragement to do things, nobody needs to remind you to get things done, then you'll be great at running a business. Running a business requires more than 100% of your dedication. This is not a case of 9 to 5 or then 5 o'clock, I clock out, I'm done. I remember many, many, many decades ago, I started out at 6 a.m., I'll be in the office. I was the cleaner, I was the one doing everything. doing the admin part of the business, doing the back work, every single thing you can imagine, answering the phone, talking to the clients. And then as a year progressed or so, I began to get people that would stand in and do those things. Now, when you are doing that, you will find that even at 5 o'clock, you may still find yourself being the last one in the office still till 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. So you need to know that you are going to be heavily investing your time, not just your money. Your time, you're going to be investing that also, and you're going to be needing to have a strong marketing plan. Now, in building a business, as I said earlier, it's important that you make sure that you already have your plans, you have a time frame for achieving those plans, and you work according to the frames that you have set for yourself. Now, it's very, very important that you are focused. Losing focus, procrastinating, not doing things on time, not keeping a calendar, not being organized. Those are some of the things that quickly run a business aground, runs a business quickly into oblivion, it just disappears. And because you have to have a system put in place for this new startup. So I'm just going to give a quick rundown of what I've talked about. We talked about the safeguarding of your business as well, and as so making a business plan, securing funding, surrounding yourself with the right people, following the legal procedures, very important. You have to establish a location, develop a marketing plan, build your customer base. You have to plan to change. Most businesses do not adapt to the dynamic environment in which they operate in. As a business, you have to be aware of the changes, the economic policies, the financial policies in the economy, and how that would adversely or positively impact your growing business. You have to be aware of what's going on around you so that you can adapt and change accordingly. There are some businesses that decided to stay in the 19th century and not move forward. And, I doubt it that a business today can survive without any form of social media. So that what will that mean for you as the owner? That means you need to advance your information. You need to update your knowledge. You may not need to be an IT expert, but you need to understand the basics, the rudimentaries of how goes these things. You need to be someone as a business person who's starting a startup or owning a business. You need to have a mind where you must explore, you must grow, you must learn, you must educate yourself by going to seminars, by going to workshops, by putting yourself through self-studies, reading books, learning, learning from other people, what have they done? And sometimes we do not need to reinvent the wheel. Look at people who are successful at what they do and find out, okay, wow, can you mentor me? Asking to be a mentee. You have a business mentor, somebody who has been there, who has done that, who you can clearly see that they are successful at what they do. And you can anchor yourself in with them and learn from them. And most importantly, having the spirit of not giving up, not being a quitter. There are times when, I always believe that for every vision that the Lord gives us as a Christian, He gives us the provision as well. All He asks of us is some diligence. He wants us to, He says, while we pray, we must also have, it says, faith without works is dead. So it is good for us to pray, but we must also back it up with works. So while we may be dreaming about having a startup and all of the things that comes with it, but we should also be prepared to put in the work that is necessary and the work that is needed to make that startup successful. And I know that by the special grace of God, for every idea that He has given us, He would see it. He that began the good work in us, He will make it, complete it to the very end. He is not a God that leaves us hanging. He would never send us where He would not go with us. So even we have that with us. And also, I leave you with this. It says, trust in the Lord and lean not on your own understanding. It says, in all thy ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make thy path straight. Bring that before the Lord. Ask Him, make sure He's the Alpha in your decision to start that business, so that He will be the Omega, so that He will be in the midst of it, so that He will see to it that it comes to an expected great end. Thank you so very much for giving me the opportunity to share some of these nuggets with you. I am most grateful. Thank you, sir.
Wow, wow, wow. Can we just appreciate our
Thank
presenter,
you very
our
much,
speaker?
Sister Deolaloa.
Thank
Let's
you.
This is Pastor
let's
Mr. Soya.
let's
Thank you
Thank you
very much.
so
God
much.
So much,
bless you.
everybody. Let's
This has
appreciate
been
her.
incredible. Thank you.
All glory
Wow,
to God. All glory to
Thank you,
God.
ma.
Thank you,
wow.
Ma.
God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma.
Pastor
Thank you,
Miss
sirs.
Obuni.
Yes.
Yes, ma. God bless you, ma. God bless you.
Thank you so very much, ma.
We're grateful to God. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.